Terraria's Calamity Mod. It's a mod that most of you probably know about, but if you don't know what it is, let me explain it to you real quick. It is a mod that adds over 1,800 items, including incredibly powerful weapons and incredibly powerful armors. But with incredibly powerful weapons and armor, you're going to need incredibly powerful bosses, which is why Calamity Mod adds over 27 bosses, 5 in pre-hard mode, 9 in hard mode, and 9 more after the Moon Lord. It also adds 5 new biomes to explore and over 100 different enemies to fight. And though there is a lot more to talk about, you'll see it in the video, so make sure to watch to the very end. And if you don't even like the video, if it's not for you, still watch to the end, it'll help me out a lot. Thank you very much. And in this video, I'm going to be playing through from the beginning all the way to the very last boss, showing you the true Calamity experience. Although I said this is Calamity, it starts off pretty much the exact same way as every other playthrough. Mine some trees, go look for something cool. So I decided to head out to the right, no real reason, just felt like going that way. Then after that I decided to go into the underground desert and get cooked absolutely immediately, so I'll leave that for a different time. So then I decided to build a little starter house, and then I got distracted and started adventuring to the left. Maybe there's something cool over here, I don't know. So I went down into the ice biome cave and I actually found a magic mirror, which is a pretty good find. And then I went down a little farther. I was exploring around trying to find something cool, but I feel like I'm a little early game, so I decided to go back home. And after I went back, I decided to finish up my house by putting in the new floor, but the guy didn't seem to like that. But then I ended up finishing it. And I mean, yeah, put in some walls and this looks like a beautiful house. I'm very proud of it. Please don't flame me in the comments. Like, come on, look at this thing. It's so beautiful. Chandelier, like, it's beautiful. I'm very, very proud of this. But then I decided to mine down to make the house useful. You know what I'm saying? After mining for a little while, I found some Hermes boots, which is great. But you guys don't want to see me mining. I promise. But I'll show you me putting in the walls in my house, because that's kind of useful. It'll take 5 seconds. Come on. Then put up a little decoration to make the house look nice, make it feel homey, you know what I'm saying? Because Calamity Mod is terrifying. It needs something nice. Guys, I skipped it. I got some gold armor. I got some gold tools and such. I skipped it. It's so boring. Please, don't comment about it. It's horrible. And another thing Calamity adds is so many recipes. Like, you can turn a gold sword into a star fury? Like, what? You can do that with so many different things. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. Oh yeah, I don't remember what happened here. I literally found the dungeon and then immediately left. So I do go back eventually, obviously. But I have one thing that I want to do before that, and I want to make a golden crown, add it with slime, turn it into a slime crown, and fight the king slime just before we get into the Calamity stuff. Gotta do some basic stuff first. There we go, finally. Yeah, walking in this game is so boring, especially on a big world. But now we're gonna fight the king slime. Which absolutely nothing changes with this fight in Calamity. So I'm just gonna skip to the end. It's the exact same fight, but the loot is different, so I guess I can show you that. But I just got a solidifier, not really important. And then I found out that you can craft life crystals. So then I got all the way to max health by just crafting them. That's crazy. Oh yeah, and this little storage unit that I'm crafting right here is another mod called Magic Storage. It's just a quality of life. It doesn't add any like important details. It just makes storage not 500 chests. It makes it into a nice little thing. Check it out if you want. It's really cool. And this is also another mod called LuiAFK. It makes NPC housing way easier, so I just dug this thing out. It's not important to the playthrough at all. It's literally just a quality of life thing. Anyways, I went to the underground corruption after going through the desert, and I crafted this thing called the Desert Medallion, which allows you to fight the Desert Scourge, which is going to be our first Calamity boss of the playthrough. So I headed over to the desert and set up a little arena to start fighting him. And boom, there you go. A nice arena to fight the Desert Scourge in. And I, for some reason, got distracted, went to the jungle, and then the Eye of Cthulhu randomly spawned on me. So here's that, I guess. But I was absolutely terrified, so I got these feral claws from the jungle and I just left. And there we go. I was looking for some materials to build this weapon because I saw it, dude. It is really good. You'll see. And now that I got a new weapon, we're ready to fight the Desert Scourge. I'll let the fight play and you can listen to it because it's amazing. And with the Desert Scourge defeated, I'm not really going to craft much because it's kind of an interesting boss where he's kind of weak and I have better gear. But I do go home and I check out that I can now make an enchanted sword, so I'm going to make that and make that my main weapon now. Oh yeah, and also the Desert Scourge has its own armor set basically. It's called Victide. It's really good. I'm going to make that my main armor now. Oh yeah, and I made a magic flying carpet. Like, this is the best mod. You can craft absolutely anything. It's so amazing. Thank you, Calamity creators. Beautiful mod. Next, I want to fight the Eye of Cthulhu and get my revenge because he jumped me that one time. So I decided to go make his summoning sigil and time to fight him. But with all of my new gear and the fact that I could craft so many nice things, like, I just crushed him, so I'll just skip to the end and look, it's Eye of Cthulhu. It's in every Terraria playthrough. So I just kind of geared up, got the best loot that I could, and then I decided to go and take on the next boss. Still a vanilla boss, but you'll see. And typically in Terraria, this is one of my favorite bosses because you can just kind of shred it if you're a little like over leveled sort of thing. And that is exactly what Calamity does for you. You shred all the vanilla bosses and then it gets more difficult, but yeah, here you go. And after that, I found out that there was actually another boss that I kind of missed called Crabulon, so I decided to go make his little summoning item and fight him. But he was so weak, so I just killed him quick. Sorry, Calamity, this is one of the worst bosses, I'm not gonna lie. And then after that, obviously I have the big pickaxe upgrade, so I decided to go get some really needed upgrades. I'll let you watch what I do. And yeah, I'm gonna get full molten armor, molten tools, molten everything. It's just gonna, this is the best upgrade in the entire game. It's gonna make the rest of it so easy. And boom, look at that. I mean, just the best pre-hard mode armor you can really get. It's amazing. And then I'm going to jump straight in to the Hive Mind fight. It's a really cool boss fight. I'll let you watch it. It's beautiful. And unfortunately that fight is kind of short, but it was a good fight nonetheless. Now we get to move on to some other bosses. Which it seems our next boss is going to be the Queen Bee. So this will kind of be a quick fight. So we'll go find her, beat her, and that'll be it. She's a vanilla boss, who really cares? And after she's down, we don't really get any new loot because she's just kind of a vanilla boss. She's not important. But our next boss is going to be Skeletron, and we'll be able to explore the dungeon and see what's going on down there. Which, by the way, Skeletron is one of my favorite bosses all time in Terraria. So I'll just kind of let you watch us fight. Just kidding, I skipped it. But then I realized that there's nothing actually that cool in the dungeon, so I wanted to fight the Slime God boss first. So I decided to make a new bow, some new arrows, and summon him, try to fight him. And I kind of feel bad for skipping the entire fight, but it's so repetitive and boring. Eventually. Maybe I'll show you a cool fight later, but yeah. There you go. Defeated them. Now we're ready to move on. Move on to a new sword. This sword is absolutely insane. It will shred the Wall of Flesh, which is our last pre-hard mode boss before we get into part 2 of this movie. So yeah, I'll just show you that. So here we go. We gotta build a nice little area to fight him. Even though the Wall of Flesh isn't that difficult, especially with the gear I have, still want to make a nice area to fight him. And again, this is just a standard vanilla fight. I have a nice sword, but it's pretty much basic, so but after using that really cool sword, I defeated him, and now we get to move on to hard mode in Calamity Mod. Now that we're in hard mode, we can buy these new combination potions from the AlchemistNPC, which give you lots of buffs. And we'll head over to the dungeon to grab the Muramasa sword, which will be a great help later. But first, I tried to fight the Slime God boss. Dude, what? How? I just beat... Yeah, I don't know. So I decided to just do the regular hard mode mining and go get some cobalt. Which, by the way, it's different in Calamity. You have to beat the mechanical bosses to unlock, like, go from... You can mine cobalt, then once you beat the first mechanical boss, you mine mithril. Then once you beat the second one, you can do, like, adamantite. It's not, like, break the demon altars, go get all of it. It's a little different. But after mining up all that, I decided to get some new armor and a new little weapon and try it out. I use the Slime God boss as my dummy. Also, this arena you see here is from a mod called LuiAFK. You can just build it super easily. I forgot to mention that, sorry. I decided to go mining in the Hollow Desert so that I could find the crystal, the gelatin crystal I think it's called, to fight the Queen Slime. Because though this is Calamity, we still need to fight the OG bosses, so you can watch that now. And it is an OG boss, so I'm just gonna skip over it. But I mean, it's just a boss fight. Like, it's not that important. Just there, yeah. I don't know. Sorry. And after that, I found Captain America's shield in the crafting recipes. Like, I mean, this is why I love Calamity. There's just so much random stuff. Speaking of random, the Goblin Army. Well, yeah, I don't think there's anything really new in here, but yeah, I mean, I gotta still do it, right? But it was my first time, so I decided to go get the Goblin Tinkerer because he's actually really important. You get like he gives you so much good stuff. You'll see. So I looked at the boss chart and it says we need to fight Cryogen next. So I decided to look up how to make the cryo key, which is what we need to spawn him. Went on a little adventure, crafted it, ran over to the biome that we need to spawn Cryogen in, and here's that fight. Yeah, this fight was cool, but it was really easy, so next one. Yeah, the boss fight was pretty easy. He didn't give me a lot of cool stuff, but he did give me these cool wings that drop little icicles when you fly, which is kind of cool, I guess. But we're just gonna skip straight to the fight with the twins because, I mean, there's really nothing much going on in between there, so yeah. And I meant to the end of the fight with the twins. Yeah, apparently I cut this really short. In Calamity, the hard mode ore that you can mine is determined by which mechanical boss you have defeated. So that's why I'm mining like in between each boss fight and not all at the beginning. But yeah, shout out to like ore vein miner mod. It makes mining really fun. Then I went back to my base, made a mithril anvil, and used that to make some new orichalcum armor. And I also got a new pickaxe. And then I got some familiar armor from the clothier, just so I look cool. And this little thing right here is called a Cosmolite. It basically lets you change day to night, and it's really good for like events and stuff. So if you see me using it, that's just what that is. It's a Calamity thing. And I actually used it for the first time to fight the mechanical worm because yeah, he's super easy, by the way. Like, it's like even Calamity, anything, like he's a good boss. He's easy. And this game is so easy that I back-to-back Skeletron Prime. Yeah, he was super easy, I'm not gonna lie. And according to the little boss chart here on the side, I actually missed a boss called the Aquatic Scourge. So I decided to make seafood and try him out. And this boss fight was really chill, but I really like it because just these like worm bosses in Terraria are just like some of my favorites. So, yeah. But he went down pretty easily, so I guess, I don't know, man. Get good. And then back to the boss chart where it says we need to fight Brimstone Elemental. So, yeah, okay, let's finish that quest next. Oh, but first I decided to get some, the pickaxe, axe, and some hollowed armor. But then we did the Brimstone Elemental. Which I'm not gonna lie, this boss fight is really good. It's like it's just very like Terraria-esque. It's very fun, but unfortunately, it went down very easily. So yeah. And then I found out that we need to fight this thing called Calamitas, and you need this summoning tool called the Eye of Desolation. So I decided to start that quest next because it's Calamity Mod. What else would I do? And honestly, this is one of my favorite early fights in Calamity before you get into the crazy stuff post Moonlord. Especially because of this bullet hell part where it's such a fine-tuned skill that you'll need later in the mod, but they just like give you an early access version of it here. It's really fun. Also, the brothers phase where Calamitas brings out like the two brothers right here. I forgot their names, like Calstroth or something, but Catastrophe. Yeah, it's just great boss. Shout out to that boss fight, but Calamitas clone went down, bro. Next one. And I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the coolest parts of Calamity. I wanted the Ankh shield, but I didn't have the stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't want to grind for it. But there's an NPC you can just buy everything from. Literally everything. You just have to have a bunch of money. So like, shout out capitalism. Also, I somehow forgot to record this. I don't remember if I like didn't hit record or whatever, but I got this thing called Arc of the Ancients, and it's a really good sword that has this cool like sweeping ranged attack. Like, you'll see me fight with it later, but it's a really cool sword. Yeah, here's a little fight of me using it. It's really powerful. Like, I just fought the mechanical worm and I just destroyed it with this new weapon. And then I ran immediately over to the jungle to start the Plantera fight, because that's just what you do. You go straight from the mech bosses straight to the Plantera and get it done. And yeah, like, the Seedler's cool and all the loot you get from here is cool, but like, did you see the sword I was fighting Plantera with? That thing is so overpowered. But then I immediately just decided to whiz through the mech bosses all three at the same time, and I'm just going to cut to the end of it because it's just the same exact fights. I don't think that's very interesting. But then I found out that you could just buy life crystals straight from an NPC, so I just bought all the ones I needed and used them all up, so now my health is really good. And next up on the short little boss list, we have Leviathan, which is a really fun fight where you have to go find this little like question mark creature in the water of your ocean, and then you have to kill it or attack it or something to spawn the boss, which I think is really cool. And I decided to leave a little bit more of this fight in because I think it's really cool and the artwork is really nice. I think it's gonna be pretty common for the rest of the fights. And up next on the boss list is a fight called Astrum Aureus. And it needs this thing called an Astral Chunk. I'm just gonna off-camera that because it doesn't really matter so much. But let's start the fight, and this is a really cool one. Honestly, this fight was very simple. I mean, it's just like jumps around, like the golem has like lasers and stuff, but I think it was pretty fun. And then next on the boss list was Golem, so I just went over to this little guy, bought a potion, and teleported straight into the temple. Like, Calamity is my favorite mod for that, bro. But here's the fight. And then I did it a couple more times, but it's not really important. What is important is the fact that you can literally buy everything from NPCs in this game. So I just bought like the Master Ninja Gear stuff from this NPC. And I reforged it to Menacing. And then after a long process that I cut out, I found this thing called an Asgard's Valor or something. Dude, it's literally the best shield in the game. It gives so many status effects. And then I decided to get the Truffle Worm and fight Duke Fishron because I don't know if... I think I skipped him. I'm pretty sure I skipped him. I think he was supposed to be before Astrum Aureus, but I'm not exactly sure. But I'm fighting him now. Next up on the list is this crazy boss called Plaguebringer Goliath. So, let's get that started. And I actually died the first time I fought this one. I'm gonna leave it in the video. Normally I don't, but this boss has actually gave me a run for my money, I'm not gonna lie. But then I made the Terra Blade and went back for round 2. Which didn't go great either. But third time's the charm. I also went and got the vampire knives from the dungeon. And this time it went well, and I defeated Plaguebringer Goliath. Next up on the list is Empress of Light. I'm skipping that one. We're going straight to Ravager because that's way cooler, bro. Ravager? Like, come on, bro. And honestly, using the Terra Blade, this fight went super easily. It's kind of a boring fight. It's just like an upgrade golem fight. It's not that crazy. And next up on the list is Lunatic Cultist, which is... everybody knows that fight, so let's get it over with. Which, it's such an easy fight, I just stood still the whole time. But now we can do the pillars. Which I use this potion, that's a Calamity Mod potion called the Zerg potion, which just increases the spawn rates by like a lot. I don't know if it's like 10 times or something, but that's why there's so many enemies all over the screen. And it makes pillars really fun. And after the pillars, the obvious next boss is the Moon Lord, which sounds a little funny because he is the last boss, but it's just the next one you gotta do in Calamity. That's embarrassing. I literally died to a vanilla boss. But in Calamity, if you make the little spawning item for it, you can fight as many times as you want, so they went ahead and did that. Which you can see by my health, it was pretty close, but I did end up taking him down. And in Calamity, after you defeat the Moon Lord, you get this little celestial onion that when you eat it, you get an extra accessory slot, which is pretty cool. And we have another boss up next on the list called Astrum Deus. And before we do that, I'm going to make this insane new weapon, which is an upgrade of our old sword. Just look at the stats on this thing. It's insane. Oh yeah, also solar flare armor. Sorry, it's like, I think it's the best armor around this time of the game. It's not modded though, so who cares? And now we're getting straight into this like celestial worm boss thing. It's a really great fight. Have a look. And honestly, just you saw the health bar. Like, look how quickly that fight went. That was like, this new weapon is really good. And then I got this new thing called a hero shield. It just gives insane stats. I had this clip of me in the desert, but I don't remember why. But anyways, I made the spawning item for the new Profane Guardians, which is the next boss up on our list, which has to be fought either in Hell or the Hollow. So I decided to go to Hell. I don't remember if there's a difference in the boss fights, but this is the one from the Underworld. And personally, this is kind of where I think the boss fights start to only get, this is where they get good in Calamity, and they only get better from here. But they were okay before, but this is where they really get good. Speaking of good boss fights, next up is Providence, which is, honestly, I think it's one of my favorite fights. Maybe top 3. Have a look at it. And this fight does unlock a lot of really good equipment, so let's get into that. But first, there is an item that drops from only the hollowed fight version of this boss. So I'm gonna get that so I can make some new items. Yeah, they're called like some sort of boots, I don't remember. Yeah, there you go. Next up is this item called the Rune of Kos, where if you use it in the dungeon, the underworld, and the like upper sky will spawn 3 separate bosses. And once you get item drops from those 3 separate bosses, you can make it into a spawning item for one way more difficult boss. One of my favorite concepts in the game, by the way. And yeah, after that little fighting montage, we have this thing called the Cosmic Worm. One of my favorite, this is probably my favorite boss in the game. It's amazing. Yeah, so amazing that I died. Yeah, when I said this boss was amazing, I also meant that it's very difficult. So after getting pummeled by that boss, I decided to head over to the dungeon to fight this other boss called the Poltergeist. I think because after you defeat him, you can get some different armor that is better than what I have now, so I was hoping for a little advantage in the Destroyer of Gods fight. Which, by the way, this is an underrated boss. It's like multi-phased. I think it has 3 phases. It's just a great boss. Shout out Calamity for making amazing bosses. Oh yeah, and I made this little thing called a blood orange, which increases your health by a little bit and changes the color of your hearts. And this miracle fruit, which does like the same thing but makes them blue. Okay, finally getting to the important stuff. This is called Eulabloom ore. I believe it's supposed to have been after Providence or something. Honestly, I don't really remember. But this stuff it's like chlorophyte times 10. Really fun. And Eulabloom ore crafts Tarragon armor, or Tarragon armor, I'm not sure how you say it, but it's just great armor, dude. It's one of many endgame armor sets, but it's very good. Oh yeah, you're probably like, what is this boss? You're not even talking about it? Like, what's going on? I actually forgot to do this. I think this boss is supposed to be like just after Moon Lord, or maybe before, but I like completely forgot it existed. So we're gonna do it right now, just to get it over with. But it's gonna be quick because it was on accident. And we're in the ocean because the next boss we were gonna fight is called, like, I don't even remember what this thing is called, I'm not gonna lie. It's some like Duke Fishron thing, Old Duke I think it's called. And you need to catch, instead of a truffle worm, a blood worm, which spawns around these little side parts of the ocean. I'm not gonna lie, that boss fight is pretty long, but in the end I defeated it. Now we can move on. And now for our actual attempt at the Destroyer of Gods, because before was a little too early on in the gameplay, but now we've got some upgrades. Gonna give it a real shot. And honestly, this phase 2 is one of my favorites. The way it like goes into a different dimension and comes back is so awesome. And you can kind of tell my PC was struggling with this one, like skipping frames and everything. And unfortunately I died, but that was a really good attempt, I'm not gonna lie. And then I found out about this new like scythe weapon that is like does like double the damage of my sword, and it has a range attack and everything. So I decided to craft it to hopefully better my chances the next time I fight DOG. But I don't want to really make you guys watch another like minute-long fight segment, so I'm gonna kind of skip back quickly to where I was before. And I mean, you might have been able to tell, but that weapon upgrade clutched. Like, that is the reason I even beat this boss. That's an insanely good weapon. But shout out to DOG, it's one of my favorite bosses. But unfortunately, I have to move on. And you're probably wondering why I'm just doing all these events now, like this, you know, solar eclipse, frost moon, pumpkin moon. It's because after you defeat DOG, they unlock some insane drops that are literally like vital to the end game of Calamity. And I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what the exact names of them are, but they end up making these ruinous souls, which you can use for the new DOG armor, called the Godslayer armor. Like, that's just cool, bro. And I made an upgrade to the, like, I forgot what it was called, the shield I had before. And it just got way more powerful. Next up on the list is one of the craziest, lore-packed, most inspiring bosses in the game, called Yaren the Jungle Dragon. I'm gonna let you watch a significant amount of the fight because it's straight vibes, the music is great, the fight is great. So just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I've got two things to say. One, there's a new ore that I'm looking for. And two, look how fast you can mine in Calamity with all of like my upgrades I've gotten over this entire playthrough. And boom, right into the next thing. The Ice Barrage Wand is like the most powerful weapon in the entire game. I found out about it from a YouTube video I watched. I don't remember exactly who, sorry about that, to whoever I saw that from, but it's OP. And Yaren the Jungle Dragon actually has a part 2. But I'm just going to skip the fight because it's the same. But I end up dying at the end. But I'm just going to go back and get the loot. And I cut it all out of the video because it's not very fun. But this is Auric Tesla. It is a new ore that you have to combine with a bunch of other stuff that you get from fighting bosses. But it makes a really, really good armor set called the Auric Tesla Armor. And I also made some new equipment accessories just because we're coming up on the final boss, so I'm going to need to get a lot stronger to be able to defeat it. And I'm going to set it up so that I have a melee and a magic option, kind of that I can interchange, so I'll put like my sorcery emblem and warrior emblem right next to each other so I can just swap them out and I can swap out the helmet, so I'll just be able to go from full melee damage to full magic damage just as quick as I want. And I also found out that after you beat Yara and the Jungle Dragon, I don't know if it's both times or one time, but you can come down to the underworld and come down to the right side of the underworld and you'll find this laboratory. And in the chest is a sword called the Murasama, and it is an insane weapon that does a lot of damage, so I'm just going to pick it up. And this is the altar that you need to spawn the newest boss. Also, ignore the map, some bug happened and it like ruined all my progress. But this is the altar that you need to spawn Supreme Calamitas, the final boss. So let's get it started. Just kidding, I had to show one death, but we'll try again. But this time, let's actually get the final boss of Calamity Mod started. And I'm gonna let you watch pretty much the entire fight, so if you want to, you can just skip like 3 minutes and it'll be at the end, but if you don't want to, sit back, relax, and enjoy the fight. And there we go. Finally defeated Supreme Calamitas, the final boss of Calamity Mod. And I know there is a boss called like Exomex, but I ain't fighting that because I never heard of that. I don't know how to do that. That will be in a different video if you want to see that. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna do a little boss rush at the end of this video for the next like 6 minutes or whatever. And if you want to watch that, then go ahead. But if you don't, skip to the end of the video for the outro. As this boss rush is coming to a close, I just want to say thank you all for watching. This was a long process for a video. It started in October of 2023, and it's just getting uploaded in July 2024. So it's been a very long time. So thank you for waiting for those who have, and thank you for watching those who didn't wait. But thank you for watching anyways. If you want to see me fight the Exomex, get this video to like a bunch of views and a bunch of likes, like, I don't know, to get me a lot of likes, and I'll do the Exomex. And make sure to comment and everything. If you like the video, subscribe. I don't know. Later.